Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you again for coming tonight. Um, the purpose of these webinars, uh, or workshops, I should say, really shouldn't call it a webinar. These workshops is to answer questions, help you get up to speed with Trader Vision, make sure you're getting the most out of it that you can. So, at any time, feel free to jump in there if you've got questions, don't know how to do something. Um, if it's a real tough question, I'm going to defer it to Ed. If it's just running through the software, I can do that for you and show you how to use it. You know, it's real important when you have a tool like this that you use it. And it does you no good when you buy the tool and leave it in your toolbox and do nothing with it. And we've been just getting great reports from folks that Trader Vision is helping them. It's helping them trade more efficiently. And they're getting really good results out of it. And that's what our hope is for you, is that you'll find that you'll gain lots of efficiency in your trading. The process that you follow will be consistent, and you'll see the results in those consistent gains. And that's what we really want to see for everyone, and that's the purpose of Trader Vision. So, and by the way, hey, we could use your help on this too. Um, if you know other traders, know places that we can show this, let us know, because we really would like to get this out to other people, because we know it'll make a difference in their trading lives. So feel free to pass it along, um, let people know about the software, have them get a hold of Ed or myself or Rick. We'd love to talk to them about it so that they can see how it might help them as well. So we'd appreciate your help on it as much as we can too. Okay, well, I'm going to get rid of this slide. Anybody like my fancy slide? I just made this. Almost looks like we're somebody, doesn't it? Okay, let me throw up Trader Vision here. So here's that workshop account for Trader Vision. And as you see, we still have one trade open, and that's that SCTY. That's that trade that I called last time. And let's take a peek at it. SCTY is doing just what we want it to do. I wish it would do it a little faster, but it's doing what we want it to do. And our target's right up here. We don't have too far to go, and we'll knock out that target. Now, if we take a look at the trade itself in SCTY, let that screen catch up to you there. As you can see, we've already got the first target on that, the 139.77. We're waiting for that second target. And if we can catch that second target, which doesn't look like it's too far away, let's see, there's another $76 in this trade. So basically the goal of this account is $78 on every trade. And so just the second target is going to give us an additional goal in this. So this is more than double our trade goal in the trade, and just real simple, easy trade to make. A slow one, but it's simple and is working well. So do you guys see these dates in here? I put those in there for a reason. Anybody accidentally put a date in these spots? Not sure what to do with them. Yeah, it's so easy to do. I don't know how it happens, but I just for some reason I seem to do that quite a bit. The way you get rid of that is just take your left mouse button here and highlight that 2016, or just click on it and it'll highlight 2016. Once you do that, hit your control key, your control button on your keyboard. It's usually down in the lower left hand corner of your board. Press that control key and your N key at the same time. When you do that, it clears that out, and then once you tab over, that date has been cleared. It's gone. So you don't have to have that mess in there. Again, you'll just click to highlight and then hold down your control key and your N key at the same time, and it clears the date, and just tab it over and it all goes away, so that you can get rid of that, clear that field. Okay, thanks, Ed. Yeah, no worries. It's not a bothersome thing. The control N works great. Um, we just need to know how to use it, I guess, since if some folks didn't know how to use it. You don't have a date spot? Yeah, you do, Bob. If you must be looking up here at the top, and right here it says trade plan. Okay. In the trade plan, you're right, you do not have a date spot. There you go. There you go. Hey, did you guys know you can do this? Once you've filled out these sections, see this little icon right here? You can click on it once they're filled out and close it. It's still there, you just close it up. So trade plan is filled out, close it up. And there's your trade execution right there on your screen. I do that a lot just because I work with multiple screens and I've got a lot of stuff on my screens all the time. It seems like I've got 4 or 5 things layered on my screens all the time, and so I do this a lot so I don't have to scroll around so much. I just close them and work right on through. Okay. How many are you using this right here? Using your note section. Did you know that anytime during the day you can come down here and click Get Price Now, and it'll run out to Yahoo and it'll get the date and time that it updated the information on your stock, and all your current information is right here. So you can see in those 25 shares left I have an SCTY, I've got a profit of 56.38 setting in there in that trade. So it shows that current we've got 196.15 in the entire trade. Current trade price, trade goal. The trade goal was actually 78, okay, and it's coming down since we've done pretty well with the account, but we're going to maintain 78 as our goal. When you move a stop or change a stop, it's really a good idea to come down here, like you see that I've done here, and I adjusted the stop, and I said where I adjusted it to, 26.01. Now I haven't changed it here. So once you decide where that stop's going to be moved, select the date. And I just moved this back so you guys can see this. Just highlight it, put 26.01 in there, And now you know where your stop loss is right on your trade plan. Okay. Notice I have a trade target right here that was part of my plan when I originally planned it, but as I was moving along in the trade or in my planning, I realized I just really didn't have enough to spread it out to 3 positions. And when I copied it down here, I just copied the whole thing and I left it in there. Now you can leave that, or you can just highlight it and hit your backspace and delete that out of there if you no longer want it there. Okay, so I really recommend you use this. Put this information in here. It's going to help you as you move along. Notes about your trade, things that are important to you to remember about the trade. The other place I want to really point out and highlight tonight that I think is important, and it should be a really good reminder, right here in your trade plan. Whoops. Your trade description, I'm sorry. Right here is the symbol we're trading, SCTY, Bob. It's in the trade description. In that trade description, notice here it's got a next earnings blank. This is where we go when we get in this earnings season like this. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have my Thinkorswim up where I can get that date. Anyone know what the date is for SCTY on their reporting? Anybody look? Well, no matter. As you're going through the software, what you want to do is you want to fill in these blanks. 8-4. See, I knew it was something I needed to pay attention to. Thank you, sir. Now I always know when that earnings date is going to occur. So when I'm looking at my software, I always know that I need to pay attention to this day because I need to be out of this trade, right? Win or lose, we want to be out of this trade by 8-4. All right, so that we don't get caught up in a bad trade. We don't want to trade over earnings. We don't want to get caught in a big move, okay? Any questions on that? Another thing that I get, a briefing says 8-8. Okay, I'll have to check into it. I get a lot of questions on this. Max dollar to stop. Now, if you want to change this, if you're the kind of trader that trades with you want to trade $5,000 positions all the time, you just want to trade a $5,000 position, we need to make a setting adjustment here to fix that. So we're going to go to the Setup tab right here at the top, click on Setup. Oh, I need to save the changes that I've made here for the record. And then I'm going to go over here to the Application tab. Okay, and on that Application tab, you have a selection here. And that selection is maximum dollars to stop loss price or total dollars for a position. If you want to use $5,000 for a position on every trade, you'll click on that. Notice when you hover over it, it'll actually pop up a description of what's going on there. Okay. Now remember, anytime you make a change here, you need to hit Save Setup. Okay. But I prefer to use a maximum dollar to a stop loss. And that's me because I don't know, I'm just that way. When I tried to use standard size positions and I was trying to trade, there's a huge difference between trading a $4 stock and a $54 stock, right? The percentage risk changes pretty dramatically. Well, when I was trying to do straight trades of full amounts, it was making it was actually putting too much risk to those lower price trades than I really wanted to take to my stop. So I started long time ago planning my trades based on how much I was willing to lose. And the reason I do that is because I'm making a business decision. This isn't an emotional decision at all. I've decided when I make a trade, that's what I'm willing to risk. Now, it's different in my full account, okay? This is the workshop account we're using. We started with 100,000. But just so you know, base it on your risk tolerance, how you want to trade, and this is how you select that, okay? So I select mine, or keep mine right here as maximum loss to a stop. So when I go back over here to my trade view, then every time I plug in a trade, I put in my entry price and I put in my stop price. It's automatically, at that point, it's automatically going to figure out how many shares I can buy. So all I need to do is put in that number and this number, and it will calculate how many shares I can buy for my risk. Now this trade has changed a little bit because we've already taken money out of it, but you see what I'm going after here. I could have traded 155 shares. Now, if I would have traded 155 shares, that would have put me over 3% of my account. I don't want to go over 3% of my account, particularly in a market that seems a little bit two-sided, a little squishy, doesn't it? Like we could roll over at any time. So I don't want to trade great big positions when the market's at risk and rolling over. Now, if the market was fully bullish, everything was great, you're going to see me creep this up. This might be 4%, 5% of my account on some trades. Not on little trades, little stock trades, but on some trades. The difference is I'm sizing my positions based on how the market's moving, and I'm downsizing my risk based on that 3% that I'm willing to put into that trade. So in this trade, $2,500 is used in the trade, and I'm risking a total of $163.98. Pretty sweet, huh? I mean, it tells me that right from the get-go what my percentage loss would be on that trade, but I know exactly how much I'm going to risk in this trade before I ever enter. Now, the reason we do that, the reason we think that's important, is because this right here creates an awful lot of emotion. When you don't know what this number is, how much you have at risk, you get emotional about the trade and you start making bad decisions as a result. So having that number displayed right there gives us the opportunity to be comfortable with that number. If I wasn't comfortable with that number, I wouldn't trade it. But being comfortable with the number and seeing how everything else is working out here, I'm okay to trade and I'm ready to go. That's why that's there. So make sure you're paying attention to the cues that are given in the software so that you can trade more efficiently and more effectively. Risk reward, this here, for the way I trade, is almost always going to show some kind of a warning. What it's saying is, are you willing to risk 163.98 to make 133.02 to my first target? See, it's risk reward to first target, stop loss versus target. Now, I always plan my trades. My first target is to get my goal or better. If I can't plan a trade that I can get my goal to the first target, I don't trade that. That's not a trade for me. I have to be able to reach my goal, and I usually shoot for better than my goal. And the reason I shoot for better than my goal is sometimes there's going to be losses, right? Well, if I'm always shooting for a little bit more than my goal on my first target, then I know I'm already covering any potential losses in other trades. So I'm always reaching out there for that. Now, when I'm planning for a target, it's based on the chart. So that's why this is always going to probably show for me as light. All right? And it's going to show that way because my targets are very close. Let's look at SCTY and I'll show you what I mean in the chart. This was our entry, okay? When we crossed out of this box, that was the first target right there. Right there, I took $133 out of the trade. I beat the goal. Now, by doing that, am I asking too much of this trade to do that? See, I'm being really very realistic because it's trading effectively is not about home runs. It's about learning to profit consistently. And I bring this up a lot, but bear with me. You guys have heard this before. I'm going to do this again. Is anybody in here, this is the first time you've been to Trader Vision Workshop? For Bob, okay. Joseph, okay. So we've got a few brand new folks in here. Think about this in your trading. All right, I don't know what your goal is and what you want to try to achieve in your trading. But let's imagine that you could take $100 out of a trade. All right. Now, if we could do that 10 times a month, that's only 2 trades a week. All right. That puts $1,000 a month into your account. How many would $1,000 a month make a huge difference? How many in the room? Would that make a huge difference to your trading? And see, most people are going to say, yeah, absolutely, because their experience is they've been struggling or losing money. That would be huge. Now, if this is too small, think of this as $200. If that was too big, what would $50 10 times a month do for you? And if you could do more than 2 trades a week, what could that really turn out to be? So when I trade an account this size, 100,000, I'm going to be shooting for that goal so that I can do it consistently. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the goal in this account, and the group helped me set this up, We started with $100,000 in the account. Okay. The goal was, right, here's the 100,000. The goal was to turn it into 115,000 in 12 months. That gives us a 15% return on our money. All right, and we were going to try to do about 15 trades a month. Well, we're pacing way under that right now, way under that. But that turned out a $78 goal. So if all we did was about 15 trades a month, tried to hit that goal of 78 bucks, can we find 15 times over the course of a month a stock that has the possibility to move up enough to make us 73 bucks or 78 bucks or whatever it is? See, when you think of trading this way, it makes your whole trading philosophy change. It becomes a lot easier. You don't have to be out there swinging for home runs all the time to be successful. If you want to grow your account, work to grow it systematically. The big wins will come from time to time, but you want to focus on being consistent in your profits. Hey, we don't want to be the kind of traders that bet it all on one thing and hopefully get a big payday once a year. We want to have paydays all the time, right? We want to be paid all the time. So start thinking in that direction, and your trading will automatically start to improve. Okay? I know a lot of people look at that. Why in the world would you be shooting for $78? I mean, really? Because $78 is going to get us that 15% annualized return. That's why. Anybody like a 15% annualized return right now? That work for most of you? Exactly. So if you work on that and just stick to those goals, and I know greed always gets in the way. You're always out there trading. You always want to hit that big score. Hey, we're all there. But that's why I plan my trades the way I do. I had a third target here. I couldn't make this trade work with a third target and beat my goal on the first exit. So I eliminated that target. If I have to eliminate the second target to make that work, I'll eliminate the second target and sell it all at the first target so that I can make my goal. That's the most important thing, because after that point in time, if I have reached my goal in my trade, if I have additional shares that I can sell to make more money, can you see how the whole philosophy of the trade just changed? Because now all I'm doing is managing a winning trade. The pressure's off of the trade, right? I've already reached my goal. Now if I can turn this into additional money, why not do that? This money's in the bank. They can't take it away. So now I just have to manage the rest of this trade to make sure I don't turn the whole thing into some big loser. But shooting for that second goal or that third target out there, second or third target, gives you the opportunity to really put, the icing on that cake without a big risk, because we've already reached our goal. Don, yes, this is being recorded and it'll be rendered when we're done, and I will send it to Rick and it'll be emailed to all Trader Vision users and also posted to the website. And I'm going to be posting this stuff to our YouTube channel. If you guys give me just a second here. There we go, YouTube. This is our YouTube channel. Oh, it'll be there in just a second. There you go. This is our YouTube channel. If I'm going to get the link here. If you go to that YouTube channel and when you're here, click the subscribe button. Every time we post something in here, you'll be notified that something has been posted to the account. And you'll be able to see it right away. Okay, so did that make sense on the goal and why I do it that way? Why I'm going to try to make those trades, clip that profit out as quick as I can so that I'm ready to go in those positions. Okay. That's what we're all about here. Trading effectively, trading right, and staying in the position where we have an opportunity to really make some money. Okay? Pretty simple stuff, but really important to learn. Okay, now I've got some planned trades. Joan, that really wouldn't be all that odd. We get the data feed on this from Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance is not going to be as up to date as your broker. Okay, and if there's after market trading or something like that with this the stock, it's not going to update until that information has been updated on Yahoo. So it's not a perfect solution. It's not going to be your go-to when you're trying to get the perfect quote, okay? The right quote. That's not what it's for. Now someday we hope that we'll be able to integrate this into brokerage firms, into your brokerage platform, so that you'll have live updated results right in there. But as of now, that's what we have. Okay, so we're working it. Ed's working his heart out on this stuff, and all of this stuff takes unbelievable time and a lot of money to put this stuff together and make it happen. So, any questions on any of that? Okay, cool. So I've got several things I want to show as potential trades that you should have on a list, but I've only got a couple that I've actually planned. And so, it's if we have time, I might go through and plan another one. But let's take a look here what I've got. You can see in the trade log, these are the trades that we've made, and I should show you on the dashboard, I guess. We'll go back over there. Currently under this account we've only made 5 trades. One is still open, right? But in those 5 trades, our account has grown $960.69 so far. Not too shabby, right? Anybody can do this. I'm telling you, anybody can do this. If I can do it, believe me, anybody can. So I'm going to look at CMRX here. Okay. Here's the chart, CMRX. CMRX is downtrending, has been downtrending for a long time. Not a pretty chart. I'm going to throw the moving averages on there so you can see it. This is what we call a rounded bottom breakout that's just not quite broken out yet. It's right there, just hasn't done it. So it's really, really close to breaking out and starting that move higher. I really like the chart. I really like the pattern. We've got here, I'm going to go back to my naked chart here and get rid of all that other stuff. We've got a really nice pattern. Look what we're doing here. We're making higher lows all the way along. And every time we come back to this trend line, we see buyers stepping in. Now, we really haven't busted out in a big way to new highs, have we? So that's what we're looking for. And I actually am going to blow this up even more so you can see the wick on that candle. I actually ended up getting triggered into this trade already, and then it pulled back. And I haven't logged it into Trader Vision, so I want to show that to you. So here's the trade. I want to get in at 421. That's where I wanted to be triggered in, 421. Stop loss at 396, below that price pattern. My first target is right here at 446. The reason that's my first target is that's where the chart says we're going to run into price resistance. So I have to be able to make my goal in that first target, or I can't make this trade go. I have a second target here of 477. That's the next price resistance. And the third target at 505, which is at the top of this price area. Okay. Volume is different for different people. I will trade stocks that are down in the 200,000 volume, but that's not for everybody. Actually, when back in the late 90s, I would actually trade stocks with 50,000 volume in them. Back during the tech bubble. I don't do that anymore. I usually require at least 200,000 shares to be traded. And one of the reasons I can do that is because I'm confident in the pattern. I've traded this pattern, I don't know, tens of thousands of times. I'm confident in the pattern, so I'm comfortable with the lower volume. Now, sometimes that comes back and bites me, but when I show you this trade, let me give you an idea of why I think this might work, and it might work for more people than you think. So first, CMRX, it's a long trade. I've got the SPY trending up, and I've got the SPY is above the 50. The 50 is rising. It was a morning star signal, bull morning star signal. I want to record that information so that I can track my performance results under this tab here. And under those performance results, I'll see what is working the best for me. So if you have a special indicator or whatever, put it in that list, test it and see if that's working for you. It's a rounded bottom breakout pattern, and I want to buy the stock if it crosses above 421. Okay. So here is the trade. By the way, 8.4 is the earnings. So I don't have a whole lot of time on this trade, do I, to get it to move? And if it doesn't move, I'm going to have to get out of the trade. So it says that I could have traded 960 shares, but that was going to be over 3% of my account. And because this is a risky market right now, I'm going to choose to go smaller. So 2.53% of the account, 2,500 in the trade on 600 shares. Now to reach my goal at 446, I needed to sell 450 shares. So that surpasses our $78 goal, right? So I sold 450 so I could surpass it. Right there. That leaves me 150 left. And that 150 left to 477 reaches our goal again. So we more than double our goal in this trade if we can get it to trigger on both of those moves. I can't tell you for sure that we can or that we will, but that's what we're looking at in the trade. All right. So now that I've put this trade in here and I did get executed into the trade, I need to scroll down here to the actual trade execution. So I'm going to scroll down here. Here's the trade execution. And you can see that there's nothing in here. Now I don't have to come down here and rewrite this stuff down in my trade execution. I just click copy plan to actual, hit that button right there, and it says, do you want to copy it down here? And I just say yes. Okay, now my entire trade has been copied down. All I do is come over here, open up that date, pick today's date. I got triggered at 4/21, so I don't have to do any adjustments there. Tab it across, and I'm in the trade. Okay. So now when I start reaching out for these goals, if I hit those, I just put the date in, and it takes those out, subtracts them out, and I'm off and running. If I adjust my stop loss, I will note it down here in the note section and change my stop loss up here. One thing you guys need to know, before you can trigger a stop loss, let's say we don't get any of this trade, the whole thing gets stopped out. Before I can move my shares down here for my stop loss price, I have to delete them off my target. So highlight and just hit backspace. Highlight and hit backspace. And when you do that, it adds all of the unsold shares down here. Okay. That way you can put your date in here and then you're stopped out with however many shares you have left at that time. So if I come back up here and I put them back in, okay, so I have two targets and I'm reaching out for my goal. That's how we fill that in. So there's the trade. Nothing fancy about that trade. Very small position. By the way, guys, look back at some of the other trades. SGY, we're going to save that. SGY trade, $9.22 stock, only $1,300 put into this trade, scaled out $296. Okay, it doesn't have to be a big stock, it doesn't have to have lots of volume to be a good trade. You just have to have your setup and trade your plan. Okay, so the second one I've got here for you, and I'm not triggered into this one, is JetBlue. Now I didn't put a candle signal in here, and I'll show you why when we look at the chart. So here's the chart. We have, again, that same pattern. There's that downtrend. It's a rounded bottom breakout pattern. We have an incredible head and shoulders formation here, inverted head and shoulders, with a breakthrough, a pullback to the trend, and a pop. So I want to buy this with this big, obviously buyers stepped in a big way right there, right? I want to buy this when it crosses out above here. That's that resistance level. And so I want to put an order in every day that this stock opens between here and here. Opening price is below 1883 and above 1822. I want to put an order in to buy it. Only if it crosses above 1883. It's a conditional order. So I don't even have to pay attention. If it rises up during the day, triggers me into the trade, I'm in the trade. So I don't know what that candlestick pattern will look like just yet. Who knows? We could run across here and do a few more days of little consolidation in here, bouncing around. Who knows? Okay, until we finally get a day where the market decides to get moving here on it, and this thing pops out and triggers us into the trade. So every day I'll come in. If I'm open here, I'm going to send my order to get hit on the trade. That's how I got hit and entered on SCTY. It took 4 or 5 days before that broke out of that little consolidation area. So I'm going to put that order in. When it triggers, it triggers. I'm going to want to be in that trade. My stop loss will automatically drop in. And now I'm looking for these targets. Now when you look at these targets out here on this trade, you'll see that we're not getting too crazy here on how far we're going to go. First target in this trade is right here. Notice that our entry, this is our resistance point right here, and you can see it's well defined. I love charts that well define areas. See how well defined that is? That level is very well defined. So I'm going to believe that level, and I'm going to believe the next level right here. And I'm going to get out just as we're reaching that level. I don't want to wait. I'm not going to try to squeeze every penny out of it. I want to get out while it's still moving up and get my goal. And this works more often than you think. You guys have seen it twice already in just the trades that we've done here, where we ran up and hit almost to the penny, got our profits, and the stock pulled back. Okay? So I'm going to use those targets to get my goal. Pretty simple move, doesn't have to go very far. We see that buyers have stepped in, they've got some interest in this trade. So let's take a look at Trader Vision here. Here's the trade. Rounded bottom breakout pattern. I just don't know my candlestick pattern yet. 1883 to get into the trade. 150 shares. It said I could trade 393 to my $250 stop loss, but that was more than I was willing to trade in this market. And I tried to plan this for 3 positions. You saw in the chart I had 3 positions planned. I couldn't make my goal with 150 shares on 3 targets. So I'm going to sell 150 at the first target and beat my goal. So all I'm asking this to do is go from 1883 to 1969. And my goal will be beat. I actually only needed to go to 1939 to reach my goal. 2.97% to reach the goal. I'm going to ask it to go a little bit further so I can beat the goal. Okay, and I can clearly see on the chart that is the resistance. All right, and I wanted to show that to show you guys don't have to trade great big giant amounts to make this work. We're asking this to go from here to here. That's it, and we're going to make our money and walk away. We'll wait for another entry to see if we can trade this again. William, what I said at the beginning is I always want to beat that goal on my first target. Instead of just reaching just for my goal, I want to beat the goal. And the reason is because I'm accounting for, not every trade's going to be a winner, right? So if I work to beat the goal on my first target on every trade, the ones that are losers, I'll have those covered with those trades that I beat goals on. Does that make sense? I'm just planning ahead. I'm covering any potential losses so that I can maintain my pace in my account. Yeah, risk reward is low. Like I told you guys, it's going to be low on most of my trades because look at my target. Am I trading this based on risk reward or basing this on getting my goal money out of that trade? Now, if you want to move these targets out and think that this resistance isn't going to affect that trade, go ahead and do that, and you'll have a better risk reward. But remember, the software is calculating. It says right here, stop loss versus for target 1. So I believe this stock has the potential. Look at this candle here. Does it have the potential to move that far even in a day? Yeah. I know the potential is there. So all I'm asking it to do is go from there to there and make my goal. Keep me on pace of hitting my goals. I wouldn't state it that way, William. What I would say is by using the chart, look at the chart. What does the chart tell you the potential of that move is going to be? And the price tells me where resistance is, where it's likely going to stop, at least for a time. So if I can make my trade goal right there, if I plan my trade so I can make my trade goal on trades where I can have more shares into the trade and can shoot for these upside targets, then I can do that. Let's pull up another trade, a past trade here. Let's see, which one is it? This one right here, PVG. Okay. Look at the risk reward to the first target here. But because I was looking at PVG, breaking out of this right here and making a tiny move right up into here to make the goal, that's all I was looking at. Does that make sense? What this kind of trading will do will change your trading life in the sense that, look at this uptrend here in this little stock. How many times has this stock presented a potential trade to make your goal? Well, right on this screen, right here, there's one easy one right there. There's 2. There's 3. That one probably wouldn't have been able to get in. There's 4. 5. Just in this little trade. 5 potential trades. 5 potential goals being reached. See, we don't have to swing for the fence to profit consistently. here's an example of a trade that we actually did in Right Way Options. Very simple, same kind of trade setup, same kind of trade plan. We bought this candle, oops, wrong tool, bought this candle as this thing popped out. We sold it actually before this target, right about there, with an option. What did we make on that? Just a second, I'll pull it up and show you. Macy's, where are you, Macy's? Oops. We made a 26.2% gain on that trade. Because we don't get into the whole greed thing. And I saw this was resistance, and so we exited before we hit that resistance. And look what happened. It hit the resistance almost directly to the penny of where I marked that line. And by the way, I moved that, let me pull this back. This little gap that you saw wasn't the resistance point, it was right there and right there. Yeah, isn't that cool, Don? Simple trade. Bang, bang. And we got out. Now it pulls back. We'll be able to trade this more times. So here's a trade, a stock that I want you guys to write down. This should be on your list. Macy's. Why do I like Macy's? Well, Macy's is doing everything we want it to do in the chart. We've got a downtrend that we've defeated, and now we've started a nice little uptrend. Pullbacks are consistent. Pullbacks are respecting, see this resistance right here? We went through it, we came back and retested it. I love a stock that acts consistently. So we found our trade just breaking above that, popped and got our trade, got our money out of it. Now this is pulling back to our trend line. Could this present itself again as another trade in a few days and attack on up here? What if it pops through here? Pops through here, pulls back, holds it as support. There's another buy. We maintain our trend. I'm going to take that one again. So look at Macy's. Put that on your list. Several retailers here. Kohl's. Kohl's broke out of these price resistance levels. Same trade. Broke the downtrend. Starting to rise in a trend. Popped up. Now we're pulling back. We want to look for an entry point in here to take that next move up. Well, usually that's pretty easy, William. There are a lot of stocks that have options, but there are a lot of those options that aren't worth trading because there's not enough volume in them, or for various reasons. But there's actually a really small section of stocks that we look at any one time that trade options, and it's because they have plenty of volume in those options that make them tradable. That's tight bid-ask spreads, good volume for groups to trade. And so a lot of times you look at a stock and it just doesn't have it. They're just not there. The bid-ask spreads are too wide or something like that. You know, you could look at a stock like this and just buying a one contract or 100 shares have an immediate loss of $50, $60, $70 just by putting on the trade. because of the wide bid-ask spread. That tells you right there you don't want to trade that option. Okay. So watch Kohl's. It's funny you mentioned LB, William, because LB is on the list for the trade. You can see the same pattern has formed here. I'm going to wait until this puts in a buy signal. I want to see this hold in here. If it consolidates across there, it can even pass through just a little bit and then come back, but I want that buy candle in here. When that buy candle appears, we'll look for our trade on this. Possible target is right there. First target. Hold on, let that catch up to you. Jeez, my internet is slow. There we go. There's your first target. Charts laid it right out there for you. So LB, TVAX is one that I want to keep on a list right now. If I put the T line on here and all the moving averages, we have a beautiful round and bottom breakout pattern. And it did it with a nice little uptrend here as it started to turn around. Nice little uptrend that consolidated. Notice these patterns I'm showing you are all almost identical. And they popped out. And now I'm going to look for the trade in here. See if I can get into that position. Just carry it on up. By the way, the ultimate target around the bottom breakout is the 200-day moving average. I'll be obviously have my first target in this trade somewhere up in this area. Second target would be somewhere up here. Might be a little lower because of this right here. I'll have to look a little bit closer. A third target would be right in here. Real simple to look at the price action and see what could stop it. And if you feel like you're not confident in seeing that, study your charts a little bit longer. Study them a little bit more. Look back a little bit further, and you'll see all of these price levels will tie together eventually. Awesome, Don. FOSL, same kind of pattern, isn't it? This one's trying to break through this price wedge. I'll put the moving averages up there so you can see them. It's a round and bottom breakout pattern. Now we got to find our entry into this trade. Notice in this one of the things I really like about this one, if we can break above these highs right here, notice we could actually put a trigger. I'm just going to drop another line in there. I'm going to go back to my naked here. I'm going to drop this line in here. Come on. There we go. If we actually trigger above that line, look at the big open gap. %, in that trade. How sweet is that? Look at this gap, how beautiful that gap is. Look at how it respected this gap all the way through here. So if we break out of there, what's the likelihood of this going up to test the other side of it? How cool is that? I love technical analysis. Fascinates me every day. RT. Okay, see the same pattern there? Over and over and over. There's what the moving average is on, round about a breakout. Great potential trade here. Now what I need is I need this to just pause, consolidate, pull back a little bit. You know, if this could put in a couple of little spinning top dojis right here, if it would do that, then my order would be right here to enter that trade. By the way, do you guys have any idea why I trade this way? Why I want price to cross up through a level to catch me into a trade? Any idea why I do that? First, we're all busy, right? In the morning, the market's crazy. If I'm trying to get into 4 or 5 or 6 different trades, I can't watch them and make those executions that fast. Can't do it. So what I do is I put in a requirement. It has to cross through a level. I put those orders in the market. I can go on and do whatever else I need to do because I don't have to worry about them. My trades are ready to be triggered. And it takes all the emotion out of the trade. All the emotion. I'm just making a business decision on every one of them. I know what my risk is. I know what my potential gain is. And I am completely ambivalent really after that point. Let the trade work. Yep. Yep. I actually, on my first entry order, I use Thinkorswim. I don't know who you use, Francis, but on Thinkorswim I can put my entry in to buy it at a limit price when it crosses up above a price, or when it crosses up above a price level of the stock. I can put a limit order to sell it at my first target, and a stop order to sell it at my stop, all in the same order. I just go click, 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 set the price levels and send it. As soon as the order triggers, boom, my order to take me out of the profit target is automatically entered. My stop loss is automatically entered. My decisions are made. I just have to let the trade work. Takes all the emotion out of that trade. CLDX is on the list. I'm waiting for this to get a little gumption. It doesn't seem to have enough momentum right now, but it may be coming. I don't know. I'm waiting for a little spark of momentum, but here's my trade. I mean, it's all laid out there. Entry if it triggers above this resistance level. Stop loss would be here. Depends on how this works and how I get triggered, where I'll adjust my stop. First target, second and third. MWW. It happens on, it can happen, William, on big news or big, swing event type days. I try to be real careful on trading those anyway, but honestly, it's pretty rare, because by asking it to cross up through a price level and break through resistance, it's confirming my direction before it enters into the trade. It's already showing strength. So it doesn't happen a lot. It does happen, but it doesn't happen a lot. Earnings tomorrow on MWW. Okay, great. Let's wait and see what that does. That could produce a trade for us. Now, here's another thing. If this gap's up, let's say this gets a good earnings report and this gap's up here, should we stop watching this chart? Yeah, no, not at all. Because a lot of times we get that gap and then we get that little pullback and then we get the buy signal. A great example is of that is not necessarily a gap, but SGY, the trade we did in the workshop here. I didn't catch this move when it popped out of here. Notice it popped clear up and pulled back, came right back around. Our entry into SGY was right there. Stop loss right there. Pretty easy, pretty simple. Really like this chart. You guys see what I'm seeing here? Same pattern. Been trending down. Trend has started to turn up. We've had 3 lower highs. Higher lows. And then we've broken out of that resistance right there. And isn't it sweet that it's just giving us this nice little pullback? So it's going to give us an opportunity possibly to buy a buy signal right in here. So that's quite a few trades for you guys to look at. Oh, here's a big one if you guys want a big one. I love it when a big stock RBBs. Chipotle Mexican Grill, $426 a share. This is still downtrending here, but if I put the T line up here, notice what we've got. We've got a round and bottom breakout. So we moved up on a big pop. What are we doing? Pulling back to test support. We will also have this giant price wedge here. So it's possible this could just wind around in here still before it moves. So just waiting for my trade. CMG is one you should have on your list. Okay guys, hey, we went past our hour like I normally do. Any questions or anything that I can help you with? I'll tell you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to stop the recording though, so the recording doesn't get too long.